With this week's double portion, a Torah portion, we bring to the book of Exodus to a close. The Torah informs us that God's divine presence is with the Israelites, as evident by the pillar of smoke by day and the pillar of fire by night. The Israelites, at least for the moment, are no longer lost. Have you ever gotten lost? I don't mean the kind where you refuse to stop and ask directions. That's not lost, that's just being a guy. I'll wait for it. I'm talking about that horrible sense of disorientation that envelops you, that stomach-churning sensation that seems to want to tear you apart as you look around in desperation for familiar points of reference. I know that sounds rather extreme, but at the time, that really was what I was experiencing. You see, when I was a kid, my family and I had taken the day to drive down in Texas to the Brazos River for those of you who are wondering, where in the world is the Brazos? Okay, for the Brazos River for an afternoon picnic and swim. The sun was shining, the cool breeze at the bank of the river was refreshingly gentle, the taste of fried chicken was wonderful, and I do believe that the watermelon on that sunny afternoon was better than any I've ever had before. To make a long story short, it happened while we were all swimming in the river. I got caught up in a powerful current that pulled me under. By the time I surfaced, I was so far downriver that I couldn't tell where I was. The only sounds I could hear was the river rushing by. I didn't even know which side of the river I was on. With all of the twists and turns the river made as it progressed through the countryside, I wasn't sure which direction to go to return to the family. At that moment, I knew without any doubt I was lost. I didn't need to dwell on the experience, and as you can see, I don't need to dwell on the experience, and as you can see, the story did have a happy ending. I realized that I could follow the riverbank back upstream, so I did. It was getting late in the day by this time, and I was afraid that it would be dark before I found everyone. As the sun was beginning to set, I noticed in the distance something flickering at the edge of the riverbank. Then I smelled the unmistakable aroma of a wood fire. As I got closer, I could hear the voices of my brothers and sisters milling around the campfire. When I peered out of the bushes, one of them said, "Hey, John, you're here just in time for s'mores." As wonderful as it may have been to be back with my family, I cannot begin to tell you how comforting that smoky campfire was at that moment. My family and that campfire said, "John, you're safe." As I mentioned moments ago, the Torah portion for the Shabbat is a double portion, Vayakahel and Pikudei. Both constitute the closing chapters of the book of Exodus. In the first, Vayakahel, Moses calls the people together for the final instructions for building the tabernacle. That's the portable tent, along with the ark and all of the sacrificial implements. And then on 3 separate occasions, God instructs Moses to tell the people to bring their monetary gift offerings, quote, as their hearts should move them. After the 3rd time, Moses is forced to tell the people enough. They'd already given too much. In the second portion, Pekudei, the Torah informs us that Moses has called for an audit, if you will, of everything that went into building the portable sanctuary, the ark, etc., so that a permanent record could be maintained of all the gifts the people had brought. After enumerating all of the various gifts of gold, silver, and copper, fine linens, and rare animal skins that were used for all the ceremonial objects and clothing, the book of Exodus concludes with the following statement. For over the tabernacle a cloud of the Lord rested by day, and fire would appear in it by night, in the view of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys. Well, like the Israelites of old, each of us has a special gift that we bring and share with one another. And like the audit Moses conducted after the giving of the gifts, it is also good for us to pause and reflect on just what it is we have shared. Like the Israelites, we should give ourselves a periodic personal audit. Just what have we done for someone else? Then, like of old, the presence of God will be with us on our journey through life, leading us, guiding us, strengthening us. According to Jewish tradition, we recite 3 Hebrew words when we close one of the books of the Torah. We say, Chazak, Chazak, Vanit Chazek. This can be translated as, be strong, and we will be strengthened. It can also be translated as, be strong, and we will strengthen one another. As we turn the Torah yet again and prepare to bring the book of Exodus to a close, we remind ourselves that each of us has a responsibility to encourage and strengthen one another. No matter what we are experiencing in our lives, that's what families do. Well, I don't think the Israelites ever camped along the Brazos River in Texas, but I do know that they got lost quite a few times. And I can honestly say that I understand just how comforting that pillar of smoke by day and fire by night must have been, and how wonderfully comforting it is to be enveloped by the loving arms of family. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and we will strengthen one another. Good Shabbos.